Talented but invisible. Every year, millions of people produce work that is genuinely good, and most of it is never seen by anyone outside their immediate circle. Not because it lacks quality, because quality was never the variable deciding who gets seen. This isn't a video about luck or about algorithms being unfair. It's about 4 specific mechanisms that keep skilled work invisible regardless of how good it actually is, and 3 redirections that change the outcome without changing the quality of the work itself. In the next 8 minutes, you'll see exactly where the signal breaks down between doing excellent work and being recognized for it. Picture this. You've spent hours on something, refining it, cutting what doesn't belong, getting it right in ways almost nobody else would notice. You finish it, and there's a quiet certainty underneath the tiredness. If I just make it good enough, people will find it. Quality speaks for itself. It doesn't. What you're standing inside is the craftsman's trap. The belief that excellence is self-distributing, that it broadcasts its own value without anyone needing to point at it. Economist George Akerlof described this mechanism in his work on markets with imperfect information. When buyers can't easily verify quality from the outside, they can't reliably tell excellent from mediocre without some kind of signal, so attention and reward drift toward whoever signals clearly, not whoever built the best thing quietly. Talent without a signal doesn't get discounted, it gets skipped entirely because there was nothing for anyone to sort it by. Being good and being findable are 2 different systems. Confusing them is the first mechanism that keeps talented people invisible. Here's a situation you'll recognize immediately. You finish the work, you post it, quietly, without context, without explaining why it matters or who it's for. Then you wait, telling yourself that drawing attention to it would somehow cheapen it. Self-promotion feels fake. My work should be enough on its own. This is the signal gap. Economist Michael Spence's signaling theory describes how in any market with imperfect information, it's the credible signal, not the underlying quality alone, that lets others sort you correctly from everyone else claiming the same thing. Refusing to signal doesn't protect your integrity. It just hands the sorting over to noise chance and whoever else in the room was willing to speak up. The work being real was never in question. Whether anyone had a way to recognize that from the outside, that was the actual variable, and it was never automatic. You tell yourself the right people will pass it along eventually, that if it's good enough, it finds its way to someone who matters. The right people will find it. Word gets around when something's actually good. Sometimes it does. Usually it doesn't, and here's why. Talent produces the work. Distribution decides who encounters it, and those are governed by an entirely different set of mechanisms unrelated to how good the work is. Timing, format, repetition, who already has an audience willing to pass things along. Economist Herbert Simon named the underlying constraint decades before social platforms existed. A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. In an environment saturated with content, attention, not production, is the scarce resource everyone is actually competing for. This is the same visibility bottleneck behind why smart people stay broke despite doing excellent work. The problem was never the work, it was what happened to it after it left your hands. Producing well and getting distributed are not the same skill, and no amount of excellence in the first one automatically buys you the second. You put yourself out there once, you post, you pitch, you show up. Nothing much happens, you stop. 6 months later you try again, starting completely from zero as if the first attempt never existed. I already tried putting myself out there. It didn't work. One attempt rarely works for anyone in any field. This is the consistency tax. Every visibility effort that isn't sustained resets the recognition you were building instead of adding to it. Psychologist Robert Zayonk's mere exposure effect showed that familiarity, not intensity, is what drives preference and trust. Repeated, spaced exposure to the same name and the same work builds recognition in a way that a single, strong attempt, however good, simply cannot. Stopping after one try doesn't prove visibility doesn't work for you. It just means you tested a mechanism that requires repetition using a single data point. 3 redirections in order of how fast they compound. First, attach one explicit signal to your next piece of work. Context, a stated point of view, a credibility marker. Not louder self-promotion, and just something for people to sort you by. Second, pick one distribution channel and repeat on it consistently for a fixed period before judging the results. Not 5 channels tried once each. One channel tried enough times to actually test it. Third, treat visibility as a skill you practice, not a reward you're owed for being talented elsewhere. It has its own learning curve, separate from the craft. Just one of the 3. The smallest possible version of it. Not a rebrand, a signal. Talent got you here. Being seen is a different skill, and it's the one nobody taught you.